afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television a couple of different ways. You can find us on Charter Communications, which is North Alabama, channel 182 Charter. You can also find us on Abundant TV, which is worldwide, and that's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And Lynn Stone, guess where else we are? We are in Australia now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually, we're all over the world, but there's a Christian network set up in Australia, and so they got with our owner of the television station, Abundant TV, and so they signed an agreement, and now we're in
There you go.
Christian network on Australia, and we definitely appreciate that. I have a friend with me right now. Her name is Lynn Stone, and Lynn is with Shepherd's Cove,
Yes, ma'am.
and I love Shepherd's Cove. I'm gonna tell you what, so many different reasons. One big reason is to help you guys are out in the community. A lot of folks have some great testimonials that they share with me when I'm out on the field.
Right. Good
So,
deal.
yeah,
We
so
love helping people.
yeah. But let's talk for a few minutes. First of all, what is your role at Shepherd's Cove?
Well, my title is Spiritual Care Coordinator. I oversee all of our volunteer chaplains, but I also work very closely with our volunteer coordinator and with our We Honor Veterans program, and where we recognize our veterans. And of course, that was one of the main reasons that I'm on today. I know several of our staff come on periodically, but one of the main reasons why I'm on today is for because it is November and this is veterans, with Veterans Day coming up on Friday. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm
but
so glad you guys are patriotic.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have been doing several different things lately. We participated at the fair. We had a booth that we set up at the fair to recognize veterans that came through there, and then most recently we have gone to the VA clinic here in Gunnersville and got to meet a lot of the veterans that came in a couple of weeks ago to get their flu shots. They had a big cookout, and it was just a nice day. It turned out to be a little cool that day, but they still enjoyed having their little cookout and coming through and getting their flu shots. And so we, the volunteer coordinator and I, spent most of the day there handing out little goodie bags to local veterans and just educating them on our We Honor Veterans program and Shepherd's Cove and all of the things that Shepherd's Cove does with hospice and palliative care and our thrift store and our bereavement program, and that we love to recognize our veterans.
Yeah, I know you do. There's something I've always noticed at church. Church we go to, like Veterans Day or any of the military holidays, they'll have the veterans stand up, and it's
Right.
always the whatever branch they were in. So they the Army, and there'll be a bunch of them stand up, and everybody's woo woo clapping and all this kind of stuff. The loudest ones are the Marines. The
Oh, really?
always the loudest ones. Of course, they're with Toys for Tots Foundation too. They
Right.
do food help there as well. You mentioned the thrift store. I've got before we dig in, I got to mention this. So I'm always telling folks you can really get some great bargains, and if you are a crafter, you're gonna love just going to Shepherd's Cove. First of all, I made. I'm always looking for belts. And I like and this is a real nice one right here. It's a nice leather belt. Now that looks like it could be ostrich or something like that. It is leather, so you can tell that it's made really well. But you can actually make jewelry with these belts. And so I cut off part of it and I made this really cute bracelet. And it's on one of the shows I did this week. So you'll be able
Oh,
to go back
wow.
and see that.
Yeah.
So all you do is you just cut it off and measure it to whatever your arm wrist is, or if it's for a friend, do it that way. And then see the part that's got this little tool that makes it rounded like that. And on the other side as well. And then all I did was just added a snap, and there I go.
Well, there you go.
Got a bracelet right there. And it's a nice one too, made out of really, really nice leather. I didn't have to polish it or anything. The belt cost $1. I've already made one bracelet, and I just gave it to the last guest who just left. And so I can make several bracelets out of this one. So let's say you got laid off from your job because of COVID, just different things happen and you like to make jewelry. You can make these and sell them for at least $12 a piece, each bracelet, and you just don't have a lot of money in it. You know, it's cost you your snaps, but they don't cost very much either. And
Mm-hmm.
so many things that you can do. You're helping Shepherd's Cove as well. And then I want to show you one more thing, Lynn. I have been looking high and low for a small table, lightweight, that I could take it around with me if I
Right.
wanted to. And I found this, and this is the perfect size. I've been looking for this. I gave $3 for it. It folds. I can put
Well,
it,
there
if
you
I
go.
don't need it right here, and I keep all my sound equipment and my stream deck and everything on this little table, so it's real handy for me. If I'm going
Well,
to a
there you go.
commercial break, I just look right there, and then I'm in a commercial break. So thanks to all the folks who donate, because that's another way you can help Shepherd's
Right.
Cove is by donating. I know I do that. I
Sure is.
recycle stuff here at the house all the time. I
You
buy,
buy
then
it
I
at the
recycle.
I was about to say you buy it at the thrift store and then you take it back and sell it, right? Or get
Mhm.
donated so that they can
Donate it.
sell it again.
I
Yes,
don't want to
ma'am.
have yard sales. I'm not good at yard sales. I get bored with them. So when we're ready to get rid of something, I can either we just take it up there ourselves. But now you can actually rent a truck. If you've got big pieces of furniture or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You
So
can
many
call and
ways.
schedule them to come pick it up. Sure
Uh-huh.
can.
Oh, and while I've got you here, another way you can volunteer is with Cove Crafters, and I'll be there
Right.
Thursday. I love going
Oh,
there.
okay. I
Yeah,
know
and
you
they
enjoy
feed you
doing
too.
that.
Santa Fe actually feeds you, so you always get a good meal. I think that's why my husband started coming. He likes
So
Santa Fe.
because you eat and then he was having to fend for himself, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, you're helping folks that way as well. Loretta Roger heads up that program. And so we make things. I get to be crafty and I'm helping somebody at the same time. And I got a
Right.
lot of new friends by going there.
Well, there you go. There you go. We're always looking for volunteers for everything that we do. Like I said, the one of the biggest pushes that we've done recently is for our veteran volunteers. We're a part of a organization through the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization called We Honor Veterans, and so we are a level 3 with that. That's based on 5 levels, and we are
Mhm.
currently at level 3 working for our level 4 and trying to get into the community more and partner with more veterans organizations to provide support. I'm actually going to a senior center out in the community next week. They couldn't schedule it for this week, but we're going out there next week to recognize their veterans. We currently just counted this morning again before a presentation I'm getting ready for, but we're currently serving 14 veterans in our home care and our inpatient unit.
Mhm.
And during the last year, we have served, I think, somewhere around 80 plus veterans from January till now.
Mhm.
And so all of our veterans are presented with a veteran certificate with this little, I don't know if you can see it, but
Mhm.
this little pin here, a little lapel pin that we
It's
present
nice.
to a patient and or their family. Sometimes we get to pin it on the patient when we're presenting it. Sometimes we're just able to give it to the family due to the patient's their situation, when we see them, whether or not they're alert and really understand what's going on. But we always want to recognize our veterans. It's very important. And we really would love to have some people that maybe you're retired and you are looking for something to do. You would, and you are a veteran. We would love to talk to you about working with our veteran program. We try to match veterans with our veteran patients, and then that way they have a camaraderie and they're able to assist each other. And sometimes, they're able to communicate better with our veterans than even our staff is because they've been there. They understand what patients,
I get it.
not necessarily maybe what they're going through currently with their physical and emotional situation, but where they've been in the past and the things that they have seen and been through in the past. So it's a win-win for both because it helps our veteran patients, plus it helps the veterans that are looking for something to do to give
Mhm.
back to their community.
I think so. And they have a very special brotherhood and sisterhood that
They
I've
do.
never seen another group of people have. I mean, they can see someone for the first time just walking down the street. They'll usually have a cap on or something like that, and that
Mm-hmm.
identifies them. Or it's the way they walk around. And I've just seen them stop each other in the street and just talk forever.
Oh,
They've
yes,
just
ma'am.
met each other. And I just think that's so awesome.
But they have that connection, and so we have seen that connection with our volunteers that have had, that have served, no matter how they've served. um, they're always connecting to those that we are serving now.
Mm-hmm.
And so this week, tomorrow actually, we'll be doing an in-service for our staff and volunteers that just highlights the We Honor Our Veterans program and the veterans that we have served during the year, and kind of giving them some tools of ways to communicate with their veteran patients, and helping them understand why they're going through some of the things that they're going through emotionally and psychologically and medically at this point in their life.
Absolutely. I think it's honorable also what you guys do for the family when there's a passing of a veteran.
Right.
Let's talk about
Yes.
that. The ceremonies are just awesome. And the families really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I could have grabbed one of our folded flags. I didn't think to do that. And they're across the room, so I won't get up and go get it. But um, when we have a patient that passes away in our inpatient unit, we have a special ceremony where that we call Stars and Stripes, and it when the funeral home comes to pick up the veteran, then we drape them with the American flag, and the families are standing in the hall when that veteran is brought from the room, and our staff lines the halls and salutes this veteran for their service. The flag is folded and presented to the family as a uh, memorial to that patient, and presented to the family. And then if you've never experienced that, it is a very emotional time for the families, for those that have cared for that patient in our inpatient unit, for the nurses and the doctor and the social worker and the aides and everybody that's involved in their care. If we're in the building and we have a resident that passes away, we all try our best to get down to the inpatient unit for that presentation. And then when we have a patient who passes away at home, their family is also presented with that flag. It's a little bit later. Usually the social worker and the nurse or someone on the care team will go back a couple of weeks later to have a closure visit with that family
Mm-hmm.
member, and we will present them with their flag at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that is for all of our veterans. And we've had some people, some organizations throughout this past year that have actually donated funds towards that, the purchasing of those flags. They're not something that we're funded to do, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something that we feel is very important for us to recognize our veterans. And so if you're looking for somewhere to make a donation, if you're a veteran and that's close to your heart, you can always make a donation to Shepherd's Cove for that particular program. We honor our veterans, and that money goes directly into purchasing more of the lapel pins and flags that we give to our families.
I think that's great. You were talking about the ceremony, and how emotional that was. And just by your talking about it, I mean, I started getting chills right here on my arms.
I
Isn't that
know I can't
awesome?
tell you how many I have been a part of, and it's every time is different, but it speaks to me every time.
Hmm. Because those veterans, I mean, they really gave their life up for our country. I mean, even if they survived it, they still gave their life up.
Right. And so many of them now, we don't know if what they're going through medically now has
Mhm.
anything to do with um, what they were exposed to and things in the past, but it could. And a lot of times it does lead to illnesses later in life that families can look back and see, oh, well, this may be because of what he or she has done, in their military service. So.
Absolutely. And also, if you are new in town and maybe you're an ex-military, and because everybody wants to be a part of a group of something, this would be a great group to be involved with. So just get in contact with the folks at Shepherd's
Yes,
Cove
yes.
and they'll direct you.
And we have these little veterans cards. Whoop, sorry, these little, it's got our website on it
Mhm.
that is a link to
Uh-huh.
our volunteer profile. And all you've got to do is just go to that link and you can register to volunteer. We have an extensive volunteer training. We're not going to just send you out without adequate training,
Mhm.
and we will be doing some more our trainings because of it being towards the end of the year and a lot of holiday things going on. We'll be scheduling some more trainings very soon after the first of the year. But if you're interested, don't wait. Go ahead and email us, fill out that volunteer profile, and we'll get you plugged in.
Absolutely. Again, if you're new in town, I'll tell you, I've never seen an area grow so fast as Albertville, Alabama. You
I
guys are
know it.
growing like crazy. So
I
when
know
that
it.
happens, a lot of folks come into the area, maybe to take a job or get transferred and stuff like that. So if you're the spouse of somebody who is coming into town, this would be a great way for you to meet the cream of the crop in the community. And these are folks who are volunteering for Shepherd's Cove.
Yes, we have some very, very good volunteers and
Hmm.
staff too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to mention this because a lot of times, you move into a smaller town and sometimes it's who you know, whether you get a job or not. You just might meet somebody who has a tie-in to somebody else who loves the way you work as a volunteer. You might find your next job quicker than you think.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, in this month, and I know that we'll have someone else come on later in the month that may talk about this a little bit more, but November is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. And so I don't know if you remember last year in the community, we had a special recognition of a lot of the businesses and homes. Lit their porches and things with our purple colors, and we'll be doing that again this year. So, as we get into the month, but November is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. So, we will be having some special things around that as well.
That's good. And also the holidays coming up. Man, you guys
Yes,
go all out for Christmas and
yes.
all these holidays. So what are some
Lights
things we
of
can
Love is
expect?
coming up in December, and I know Emily will have more to say about that when she comes on later in the month. But I don't, I don't have the details on all of that, so I'll let her follow up with that. But it is coming up in December.
Hmm. Well, I wanted to mention before I forget, and that's with the Cove Crafters Club. It's going to be Thursday at 5:30. They'll feed us, and then we're going ahead and start making. We're going to be making these little birdhouses
Okay.
that are really cute. And a lot of volunteers have come in and helped Loretta with that out of her house just to put the birdhouses together
Kind of
and
get
paint
them
them.
ready for y'all to
Yeah. So we got the easy job to
y'all
do.
get to decorate them, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to use glitter or not. I think every time Loretta uses glitter, she says, "Never again are we going to do this again. Never."
And then you do it again.
Yeah, but I don't think she's going to. I think they've already been painted, so we're just going to kind of decorate them, let them look really cute for Christmas. And we've
Oh,
done all kinds
goodness.
of really neat stuff, like last year, and she decided to do it again. I'm glad she did. She said, "We're going to make ice cream sun." She didn't even explain anything. She just said, "We're going to make ice cream sundaes out of socks." And I said, "We're what?" And so these look like ice cream sundaes made out of socks.
Little
You know,
socks. I remember seeing those.
such a cute idea. So again,
Uh-huh.
you're new to the community and you want to meet some folks, you're going to meet some wonderful folks. Absolutely. And you guys take good care of your volunteers as well. I know you do, so I'm just glad to
We've
be
got a
part of it.
good group of volunteers and they help us tremendously. Medicare requires that we have a portion of our total direct care patient time is supposed to be provided by volunteers. And we have volunteers that go into the homes that sit with patients, that run errands for patients, that go and read to patients or play music for them, deliver birthday flowers to them. And that's always an exciting little thing. They take the crafts that the Cove crafters make once a month out to the patients' homes just as a sweet thinking of you reminder that someone is taking time to do something special for them during a difficult time in their life.
You have an army of awesome, awesome volunteers. One thing I thought would be really interesting for a young person, if you wanted to volunteer, and you're thinking about having a garden, the smartest people I know on earth are farmers. I mean, they know how to get a
Mm-hmm.
seed and they know how to turn it into a big array of apples in a basket or
Right.
tomatoes or whatever in a basket.
Uh-huh.
And if you sit down and talk to them, they'll love to tell you how to have a garden. A lot of
Tell
those
you how.
folks.
That's right. That's right. Mentoring, they can the patients can be just as educational for
Yeah.
the younger volunteers as yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. And some of the volunteers I've heard talk about, some of those older folks, they were young once. And they'll tell you, I fell in love. Like I used to love to hear my grandparents talk about when they fell in love with each other, the
Mm-hmm.
story. And my grandmother used to go with my granddad's brother. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, boyfriend and girlfriend back in that day meant a whole different
A lot.
than it does nowadays. So anyway, she said my granddad just walked up on the porch and said, "Hi, Sybil," and she said that's when it started. He just spoke to her and said, "Hi, Sybil," and I just thought it was so awesome. So just to hear things and like you think what if we ever didn't have electricity? I mean, what if like the supply chain? What if what did they do for food back then in the
Mm-hmm.
Depression? All those stories are interesting, and they love to
Right.
share those stories.
I have a little note on my desk that reminds me when I go out to see patients, one of the questions that I always try to ask is what brings meaning to your life? And I try to get them to engage me in conversation to remind, it's kind of like a life review and gives patients the opportunity to kind of give me their story.
Hmm.
So that's something that we remind all of our staff that, it's that our patients, their stories are important. And it's
Hmm.
not just what's going on with them right now,
Hmm.
it's what has impacted their life, their total life, and how that has brought them where they are now and how they use those things to help bring peace and comfort to themselves and their families during this time. So.
I have an aunt, my Aunt Elizabeth Burgess, who is 101 years old.
Oh, wow.
Smartest lady I know. And I'm going to tell you what, she still has her complete mind. She lives by herself still. She cooks for herself. She does everything. She's an extremely independent woman. I guess is where I get it. But I hope I have just half the genes she has. So for her birthday, she's on the show one day. And I said, "You know what? You remember more than most young people do. How do you do it?" And she said, "Well, for one thing, I've always memorized Bible verses. That's number one." And she said, "I love to do crossword puzzles." And she said, "I'm not lazy. I've always liked to have a garden. I like to watch something." And she said, "You know what? I always figure I'm not a know it all. I've still got a lot to learn." And she thinks that's the key. She said, when you think you know it all and you can't be told anything else, it's time for you to die. She said, you need to, that's what she says. And she said, so I like to learn. And she likes to ask questions. She would have been a great interviewer. I think she would have been a really good talk show host because she likes to learn more about other people than about herself. And she'll just sit there and when I go to her house, she loves to collect stuff. She has like some antiques and stuff like that. So if I can get good internet service, she'll say, go on that web page that you like to go on. And I'd like to know what the value of this is. So I'll go on eBay or something,
Mhm.
find stuff on eBay. But I think that's part of the keys. You're always learning. And that's how a
Right.
volunteer can keep learning. You can find
Exactly.
out how to do stuff.
Exactly.
I learned what mush was. You ever heard of
Mush.
mush? You ever heard of mush?
I have.
Hmm. Back in the Depression, when there was no such thing as the food supply chain. I mean, you just
Hmm.
raised everything and you didn't throw anything away. So at the end of the week, they would take all the leftovers and make a mush out of it. And that's how they
Okay.
survived. That's how they make it. So I'm talking some smart, smart people that we can all learn from.
Right. Right.
I saw a meme on Facebook the other day, and it said, we might all be, because of the supply chain, we might all find out why our grandmothers used to say bacon grease. They
Hmm.
saved it,
They
and
did.
made soap out of it and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, all those kinds of great things. About 2.5 minutes left in this segment. What would you like to tell the folks before we go?
Just keep us in mind if you need any assistance with someone that's going through a illness that of course, none of us know the number of any of our days, but if you're looking for hospice care, just remember that we're here for you. If you're looking for something to do, just remember that we can always use volunteers. And on this week of Veterans Week, just be mindful of the veterans that are in your life and thank them for what they've done for our country and for you personally. Just want to make that a main focus of the rest of this week as we go forth. Just if you know a veteran, make sure you thank them for what they've done.
Absolutely. And Lynn, I appreciate your saying Veterans Week. I do appreciate that because it is a week long, or actually longer than that, celebration at Shepherd's Cove for the veterans who love them.
Right, right.
So that's fantastic. Folks, thank you, Lynn, for being on the show today. It's always a
Yes,
pleasure.
ma'am. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everyone, for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio, In Christ Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundance TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can find out more information by going to Shepherd's Cove. You've got a Facebook page. I find a lot of information there. So if you're looking for a particular
Right.
volunteer, sometimes you're looking for employees and you also post that on there as well. So we,
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
appreciate every single thing that you guys do.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You
Thank
have a
you
good
again,
day.
folks, for watching. And y'all have a good day too. Thanks, Lynn. Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye bye.